It was revealed on November the 28th that a net 900,000 immigrants had come into the country in the year ending June 2023, rather than the 740,000 previously reported. That was up 44% on the same period in 2022, 510,000, and 20% up on 2024, 728,000. It was a cataclysmic number, at a time when our country was rending at the seams and barely functional. It has meant we have continued to be in that state. That a Conservative government oversaw this is truly disgraceful, although not exactly a surprise to anyone who has been paying attention. The centre-right is supposed to at least grasp the unpopularity of mass immigration, even if it keeps it going, and is supposed to maintain sensible numbers. In recent years, that perception has become more and more tested, until it now resembles a naive fiction. We do not yet know how many immigrants have come under Labour since July 2024, or will arrive by June 2025. One might assume it will be less than the 906,000, given that it has already come down by 20% under the Tories, but it remains to be seen. There is another factor which might make the numbers lower. A slow-learning Labour has begun to perceive immigration's unpopularity and is making noises in that direction, clobbering the Tories on what is supposed to be their home turf. After the announcement of the revised figure, there was a distinct pivot from Labour that raised a few eyebrows. On November 28th, Starmer did a quite extraordinary speech, not in terms of quality, but in terms of some of its language. It was noteworthy because out of his mouth came hints of talking points the dissident right has been making for years. Just a few months ago, you might have been locked up for saying them, especially if you said them while throwing a brick. But here they were from Starmer himself. The previous government were running an open borders experiment. Time and again, the Conservative Party promised they would get these numbers down. Time and again, they failed. And now the chorus of excuses has begun. We heard that from the leader of the opposition yesterday. But what we didn't hear, what the British people are owed, is an explanation. Because a failure on this scale isn't just bad luck. It isn't a global trend or taking your eye off the ball. No, this is a different order of failure. This happened by design, not accident. Policies were reformed deliberately to liberalise immigration. Brexit was used for that purpose, to turn Britain into a one-nation experiment in open borders. Global Britain, remember that slogan? That is what they meant. A policy with no support and which they pretended wasn't happening. There had been mumblings from Labour about reducing immigration before, where party figures floated the idea in the period leading up to the election. In November 2023, Darren Jones said we should have a normal level, which was a couple of 100,000, rather than the 700,000 that had been announced. Really 900,000 as we know now. 200,000 is still ridiculous, of course, but for Labour it is progress. Starmer had also criticised the NHS for relying on migrant workers, and broadly suggested we need to, I'm paraphrasing, train up British people to do British jobs. However, the rhetoric of this November the 28th speech was a real gear change.